Crawford's brilliant. Like he's a genius. He's a generational great. So maybe he can find a way to do it. But I feel he'd be hugely outsized against Canelo Alvarez. Yeah. But you have to use your movement.
A good little man has never beaten a good big man in the history of the game, unless you go back to certain situations with Pacquiao.
A lot of people that say that Crawford can beat Canelo, no problem. I mean, I respect that, but I just think they're stupid. I mean, excuse my language. The size difference of a bigger man changes everything with one punch.
Crawford's camp has highlighted their advantage over Canelo, but it has just prompted additional warnings from professionals that it is not as easy as he thinks. Terence Crawford's staff recently disclosed that they think his secret weapon presents a unique challenge to Canelo Alvarez, and as the two prepare for a high-stakes fight, Crawford's unconventional style could be crucial.
Me, I'm always up for the challenge. Okay. If you know Terence Crawford, you know he's always going to try to challenge and whatever. You can be bigger than him, taller than him. It don't matter. He's always going to challenge you.
Right.
And I can't not help it.
Right,
yeah. It's just in me, so it's...
His team, under by longtime trainer Brian McIntyre, says that no boxer in recent memory has matched Crawford's adaptability, versatility, and high ring IQ. They say that these characteristics make him the most deadly opponent. Canelo has faced challenges even as the Mexican superstar solidifies his legacy as one of the best pound-for-pound fighters in the sport. But almost every voice in the sport thinks things will go wrong for him when he begins throwing punches. As the September 12th showdown in Las Vegas approaches, Crawford's inner circle thinks the undefeated fighter provides a test that Canelo Alvarez has yet to overcome during his long and successful career. According to Bernie Davis, Crawford's close acquaintance, no sparring partner or training camp can fully replicate what Crawford brings to the arena. Davis believes that Crawford's versatility and high boxing IQ pose an insurmountable problem for the Mexican icon, a sentiment shared by other members of the Omaha natives' close-knit community.
He's still youthful about boxing. He loves boxing, and this is one way to get him up. You know, he's a challenge guy. He loves a challenge, and Canelo is the biggest challenge you can get. You know, we got to go up 2 weight classes, really 3 weight classes to get a guy like that. Hardest puncher, great counter puncher, tons of experience, undisputed champion, unified champion, a couple of divisions.
In a recent interview with Mill City Boxing, Davis stated that Canelo will struggle to prepare for a fighter with such seamless style switching and tactical unpredictability. He stated that Crawford's perspective method may be compared to Floyd Mayweather's elusive movement, defensive perfection, and prepared responses, but Crawford is a different sort of beast. His ability to transition stances seamlessly from orthodox to southpaw without sacrificing power or precision separates him. According to Davis, this variety is the key to solving the Canelo conundrum, which even the Mexican hero, despite his amazing ring knowledge, may find difficult to solve.
You know what I mean? But at the same time, I believe in my abilities. He's a heavy dude, but he's not a big guy. Like, he's 5'8", I'm 5'8", you know what I mean? My arm's longer than his, you know? That fight would be good. I'm gonna get hit in the fight.
However, other observers believe that excessive stance altering may be unsuccessful against a seasoned veteran like Canelo, who is not easily fooled by such strategies. They argue that Canelo's ability to adjust mid-fight, his great upper body movement, and his deadly body blows make him a terror for any opponent, regardless of style. Crawford may have the tools, but the question is whether he can perform against a great operator like Canelo, who has faced almost every type of fighter in his 18-year career.
Question to me, how will the 12-pound difference be for Terence Crawford? It's going to be his first fight at 168. For Canelo, this is the weight class that he always fights at, no problem. But I'm really curious on how Terence Crawford is going to be able to adjust to this and if it's going to be advantage.
Amir Khan, a retired former world champion who notably met Canelo in 2016, is one of the strongest voices warning Crawford of the danger he faces. According to Fast Lots, Khan reminisced on the horrific knockout that left him unconscious in the 6th round, a moment that, he admits, altered his career forever. Khan lost more than just a fight that night. He lost a piece of himself, a psychological edge that would never return. He is the world's best fighter, pound for pound, Khan claimed. I was never the same fighter again. After facing Canelo, you may get knocked down and get back up, but Canelo's knockdown certainly took 5 years off my life.
You have to say Canelo probably because he's so big and physical and strong. You know, he had the weight behind him. I remember hitting him and he didn't budge. Like, he did not even move. You know, that's the you think.
Your face when you said that.
Yeah, it was like, I was like, I swear that's what. And when I hit him with that left hook, right hand, and that's a shot I've literally knocked a lot of people down with. And he didn't move back, and I thought, oh shit. I'm gonna go my hands full.
Khan's view is a stark warning about the physical and psychological toll that a battle with Canelo can entail. For all of his skill and knowledge, Crawford will have to deal with not only Canelo's power, but also the pressure of fighting a man who has left a trail of broken opponents in his wake. Khan advises against not only knockouts, but also the long-term impact on a fighter's confidence, durability, and general approach to the sport. Khan believes that Crawford, despite his skill, is falling into a trap created by one of the most physically intimidating fighters of his time.
Terence Crawford is going to be such an easy fight for Canelo because Terence Crawford can't run the whole fight and win, as we have seen in the Canelo versus William Skull fight, which means Terence Crawford is going to have to engage with Canelo, and Terence Crawford doesn't have the power to hurt Canelo. Terence Crawford's performance against Israel Madrimov was also trash, and Israel Madrimov isn't even the best fighter at 154. And let me remind you, Terence Crawford is 37 years old, so I'm expecting Canelo to knock out Terence Crawford the same way he knocked out Amir Khan.
Come on, Shagor, come here.
Come on.
Julio Cesar Chavez, a legend in his own right and one of Mexico's most revered sports icons, has also commented on the possible result. Speaking on Bout Hub TV, Chavez boldly stated that Canelo Alvarez would not only win the bout, but also knock Crawford out. It's really an uneven fight, Chavez stated. Crawford is a great fighter, but Canelo is out of his class. Crawford is going for the money, and Canelo will knock him out. Chavez thinks it is a matter of pure strength and power, a gap that even the most adept specialist may struggle to transcend.
The two fighters are going to be different weight classes, even though they're going to fight on a specific weight. He believes that they're just going because of the money, Crawford, but probably Canelo is going to knock him out.
Would you rather see
Oscar de la Hoya, who promoted Canelo for a decade before their dramatic separation, had a somewhat different view. In an interview with Brian Mozick, de la Hoya acknowledged Crawford's excellence and the historical ramifications of a potential upset, but ultimately leaned toward Canelo's victory. If Crawford can do it, Jesus Lord, I mean, give this man the title of being the greatest ever, but I just don't see it. Canelo is a strong puncher, which Crawford can utilize against him. However, the heavier opponent's pressure can be a problem. Canelo will be 200 pounds in that ring. It's a tough fight, but I give Crawford full credit. If he wins, he will be regarded as the fighter's messiah.
A good little man has never beaten a good big man in the history of the game. Unless you go back to certain situations with Pacquiao beat me, but I was a dead man walking anyway. But a good little man never beats a good big man, so it's a tough test for Crawford, but I'm not counting him out. The bottom line, this is the truth again, it's a money grab. That's it. Yeah.
Eddie Hearn, one of the sport's most powerful promoters and a close partner with Canelo in recent years, had similar worries. He stated that, while Crawford's skill set is unparalleled, the size gap is simply too large to overlook. Crawford has not only moved up to 168, but also to 154. Prior to it, he was at 147, 140, and 135. I just think the size is too big. Hearn told Boxing Social that the problem is not simply abilities, but also physicality and durability, both of which favor Canelo.
Crawford going to be able to bridge this weight gap?
Yeah, I don't think he can, in all honesty. I mean, he might not be able to bridge it on Saturday.
Yeah.
So,
one weight class.
68, yeah, but you're coming up from 35, 35, 40, 47, 54. Sooner or later, it's one too many. And 68 is definitely too many. But Crawford's brilliant. Like, he's a genius. He's a generational great. So maybe he can find a way to do it. But I feel he'd be hugely outsized against Canelo Alvarez. Yeah.
Hearn cited Crawford's fight against Israel Madrimov, a powerful 154-pounder, as proof that even at junior middleweight, Crawford has struggled to impose his will on physically imposing adversaries. I believe he fought against Madrimov, a powerful 154-pounder, and he'll feel it against Canelo. Hearn went on to say that, although appreciating Crawford's brilliance, the British promoter is still sure that the American's weight gain will be his doom.
I think that he's much too much weight for Terence, you know. His style was difficult, and you know, people will say it was a poor performance from Terence, but let's just say it was a great performance from Madrimov, you know. I think 168 is much too big for Terence, but like he said, if the money's right, he'll fight.
Just after his stunning win against Ryan Garcia, outspoken Rolando Romero stepped in, dismissing Crawford's hopes completely. Romero told S News, "Let me ask you this. Who's a better fighter, Floyd Mayweather or Terence Crawford? You're going to compare a 168-pound strong grown man, Canelo, to Terence Crawford?" He went on to mock people who believe Crawford can win, calling them foolish for ignoring the basic rules of physics that govern the game. Romero emphasized that weight divisions exist for a reason, pointing out that Canelo's stature and strength would be overwhelming.
Rolly Romero claims Canelo Alvarez, who has only lost twice in 67 fights, will suffer a third defeat, but not against Terence Crawford. Rolly believes David Benavidez would school Canelo, as Benavidez is fighting to win, not just for a paycheck. However, Canelo has been dismissing a Benavidez fight, focusing instead on a Bivol rematch. In boxing, anything can happen, so stay tuned.
David Benavidez, a prominent contender presently fighting at light heavyweight, is the latest big name to comment on the likely battle between Canelo Alvarez and Terence Crawford, having long desired a bout with Canelo himself. Benavidez's point of view is credible, especially given his direct involvement at the sport's highest levels. In an interview with Sean Zittel, Benavidez explained why he thinks Crawford, despite his apparent talent, faces a major uphill fight in his probable debut at 168 pounds. Benavidez began by praising Crawford's technical prowess, labeling him one of the best technical fighters he's ever seen. But he quickly backtracked by pointing out a vital aspect that could determine the result. He observed that, despite his skill, Crawford looked to lose part of his characteristic power when he increased his weight to 154 pounds. I'm not saying he had problems, but he looked like he didn't have the power he had at 147. Benavidez described,
"There are too many weight classes apart. And although the skills, Crawford is one of the best fighters that I've seen. Now, Canelo is, fighting at 168. Crawford just moved up to 154, and he had some trouble with that in that fight. Now, where do you plan on going? 164, 65, 66? Yeah. Canelo's going to come down to 160.
For Crawford, who is known for his precision counters and finishing instincts, any perceived loss of power may spell disaster against a naturally larger, stronger opponent like Canelo. Benavidez went on to explain how Crawford's physical limitations make this matchup especially tough. Crawford is a one-of-a-kind fighter, and if he knows he will fight at 168 pounds, he will most likely grow up, but weight divisions must be respected, he added. This statement mirrors a broader view in boxing, where the adage that weight classifications exist for a reason is especially important. While Crawford's abilities are great, Benavidez thinks Canelo's physicality and inherent size advantage at super middleweight give him a substantial advantage.
My prediction is Canelo's gonna walk him down. Crawford is gonna do a lot of defense. Now, if he pulls off that win, dude, that's gonna be one of the most biggest upsets of all time for this dude to go up that many weight classes. And now I do think that, he's going to get his little shots in as far as, finessing and all that, because his hands are definitely way faster than Canelo. But just the weight and the way that Canelo fights, he's not going to back up against Crawford.
From Benavidez's viewpoint, the sheer physicality of the larger guy in the ring cannot be underestimated. He pointed out that while Crawford may bulk up in preparation for the 168-pound jump, the process is more complex than simply gaining muscle. Fighters moving up in weight frequently have to choose between speed, power, and stamina, and few have made the move as smoothly as Canelo, who has successfully campaigned as high as light heavyweight. Crawford faces numerous disadvantages in his first fight at 168 pounds, hence I think Canelo will win. He is bigger and more experienced, so I give him the edge. Benavidez finished.
I truly believe, that, anything can happen in boxing, you know what I'm saying? And Terence Crawford is a legend. He's great. He's a great fighter. The only thing I see that I favor Canelo is that, his weight.
Yeah.
And that he's more bigger. You know what I'm saying? That's the only thing. But as far as skill set wise, IQ, I feel like Crawford can match anybody and probably do way better. You know what I'm saying? But Crawford is a legend, bro.
Yeah.
And like I said, you can't.
Meanwhile, Lopez, another known figure in the sport, backed the Mexican superstar, predicting a late stoppage in favor of Canelo. In an interview with Ease News, Lopez took a more balanced approach, admitting that Crawford would test Canelo early on before the size and power discrepancy tilted the balance. I think Crawford will give Canelo a hard time in the beginning, but after Canelo becomes comfortable in the ring and adapts to Crawford's technique, we will see Canelo finish him off in the late rounds. Lopez thinks Lopez's point of view highlights an important component of this potential matchup, Canelo's ability to adapt throughout his career. Canelo has demonstrated remarkable ability to understand his opponent's styles, including those that are regarded extremely technical or uncomfortable. His fights with Austin Trout, Lando Lara, and Caleb Plant show his ability to gradually wear down technically adept competitors. If Crawford is unable to hurt Canelo early on or make him respect his power, the fight might play out similarly, with the heavier, more powerful fighter gradually breaking down his opponent.
Crawford, Canelo, who you got?
Crawford, Canelo? I still say Canelo.
I got Canelo too.
I still say Canelo. Ring IQ, I believe that Crawford has a bit more.
Yeah.
However, it's just the size difference. I think that where Crawford is lacking is that he should test the waters even with somebody at that weight class before facing Canelo. But hey, they say he's a dog, he's got shot in the head and drove to the hospital, so maybe.
Despite these worries, Crawford's team remains confident. Nevertheless, his personal trainer, Brian McIntyre, has raised a different type of worrying, one unrelated to power or physicality. Bomac has openly voiced concern about impartial judgment, implying that Crawford may not receive a fair deal. If the fight goes the distance, he's only wilder than Bud, and he's not taller than Bud. But the name Canelo does scare me at times. Will we have a fair shake? Will we be treated fairly in a close fight? Bomac questioned in a recent interview with Mill City Boxing. This anticipatory focus on judging has spurred conjecture that Bomac is preparing the basis for a possible explanation. If Crawford falls short, critics argue that this attitude shows a lack of confidence in Crawford's ability to decisively outbox the naturally larger Alvarez if the fight is tight and the judges rule in favor of Canelo. Bomac's words are likely to act as a rallying cry for Crawford's followers, allowing them to portray a possible loss as a robbery rather than a defeat.
I want to apologize.
Yeah.
Because after watching that fight, I see what you were talking about.
Yeah, I'll tell you, that movement all sets everybody, man. And with Canelo, he gets frustrated. You see he gets walking to you and all that. If he can't touch you, you know what I mean? That's it. You know what I mean?
Now, did watching that make you feel like Terence Crawford has better than a 50% chance?
Teddy, not everyone has written Crawford off. Atlas, a former trainer and one of the sport's most regarded experts, has come out in support of Crawford, appearing on The Fight Show. Atlas made it clear where he stands, saying his unwavering support for Crawford. Atlas stated, "I'm not going against Crawford. I believe he's that special guy. I think Canelo is great, but Crawford is even more so. He is yet to learn how to lose. I believe he has those rare traits that transcend beyond the physical." Atlas's belief in Crawford appears to stem from the intangibles mental toughness, ring IQ, and sheer competitive drive that have propelled him to an undefeated record. In Atlas' opinion, these skills can frequently bridge the physical gap, allowing a smaller, more talented fighter to beat a physically imposing opponent. Atlas thinks that Crawford's thinking and psychological edge in the ring are more important than his size or power.
How is Crawford, his composure going to be like the moment a punch lands on him from Canelo?
Are you kidding me? Take that question back.
Yeah, why?
Because you're talking about Crawford.
Yeah.
He's
the weight classes.
He's the most composed guy. Yeah. What, you don't think he'll be prepared? You think it'll be a shock to him? No. He's already moved up 3 weight classes. So now you're talking 6. if you had on 3. Crawford has the ability to slow things down in the ring that very few people have.
Shocker Stevenson, a rising star in the lightweight classes and one of Crawford's best buddies in the sport, has joined the chorus of cautious optimism. Stevenson, famed for his own technical prowess, thinks Crawford will box out of Canelo and make it seem effortless. Speaking on television, Stevenson dismissed the idea that Crawford would be out of his depth, predicting that the Omaha native's skills and mental toughness would carry the day. "Terence is insane. That guy is psycho," Stevenson remarked, amazed at Crawford's willingness to take on a job of this magnitude without seeking a rehydration clause, which many consider a serious danger given the size difference.
The others say, like, no, that's 2 more weight classes. Like, once he gets touched by Canelo, it's going to be different.
I am concerned about him absorbing a Canelo punch, especially through the course of 12 rounds. We do know this about Canelo. He's going to slow down, so I think if anything, Canelo would try to start fast and bang on him and break him down before he gets later, and he's still got that kind of steam.
Stevenson's unwavering faith in Crawford contrasts strongly with the more cautious judgments of boxers such as Benavidez and Lopez, underscoring the division of opinion among boxing's best. As the argument continues, the one certainty is that this fight, if it happens, will be one of the most riveting in recent memory, a confrontation not only of techniques, but also of physicality, psychology, and pure willpower. But if Crawford pulls off this win, it will be a watershed moment in the sport. But have you seen him actually do it? Please share your views below and subscribe for future analysis.